Well, the White House is disputing reports that a high-level meeting was canceled between U.S. and Israeli officials in Washington this week.
Yeah, these reports follow Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accusing the U.S. of withholding weapons from his military. The Israeli Prime Minister issued harsh remarks in this video on Monday. Netanyahu said it's inconceivable that the U.S. has withheld weapons and ammunition to Israel over the past few months. He suggested the delay in receiving support is slowing his country's offensive in Rafah. The White House says it doesn't know what the Prime Minister is speaking about.
Let's bring in now CBS News foreign correspondent Chris Livesay from Tel Aviv. Chris, what more can you tell us about this meeting that maybe was or wasn't supposed to happen, and then more generally where things stand for the partnership between the U.S. and Israel?
Hey, Errol and Lana. Yeah, there's clearly a lot of frustration behind closed doors that's now spilling out into the open. You know, it's not the first time we've seen divisions like this between the United States and Israel. The Biden administration for months has been expressing some of its frustrations with just the conduct of the war, especially when it comes to the offensive in Rafah. The first thing I thought when I saw this video from Benjamin Netanyahu was, so this is the prime minister without his war cabinet. Because remember, earlier this week, he dissolved his war cabinet after one of the leading opposition members in that cabinet stepped down. Earlier on in the war, it was supposed to be this institution to show unity throughout Israel with this team of rivals working together. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu is more isolated than ever before, and he no longer has somebody like Benny Gantz to point the finger at when things aren't going his way, and when perhaps frustrations are rising in the country over the fact that we're now in the 9th month of this war, and there's still 120 hostages being held by Hamas. So who else can Benjamin Netanyahu blame but Biden and the White House?
Meantime, Chris, the Israeli military says it's approved an operational plan for an offensive in Lebanon, and you've been reporting on the growing tit-for-tat exchanges with Iranian-backed Hezbollah militants in the region. What do we know about this potential plan and Israel expanding operations along its northern border at a time like this?
Right. It's certainly a very tense moment. There have been these tit-for-tat exchanges now going on for the past several days. You know, when it comes to Israel, one way or another, this has to stop. What I mean by that is either diplomatically or militarily. The main reason is because you have 125,000 Israelis who are internally displaced. Most of them are from along the border with Lebanon because of these exchanges of fire that have been happening since October 7th. In fact, Israel came very close to launching a full-scale invasion of southern Lebanon at the same time it responded to those attacks of October 7th. And so it's always been kind of on a hair trigger, because in the meantime, you have all of these Israelis who can't go back to their homes, entire communities that have just been emptied. So Israel is trying to resolve this. In the meantime, it's very expensive for individuals and also for the government to take care of these displaced people. And so this plan is Israel's way of saying, look, one way or another, we hope it's diplomatically, but if it has to be militarily, we're ready to respond.
All right, Chris Livesay joining us from Tel Aviv. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.